Congressman Bishop currently serves on the Armed Services Committee and the powerful House Rules Committee. He is a staunch supporter of helping Congress strike a balance for wise management of our public lands and resources, and with this in mind, he specifically requested a position on the Committee on Natural Resources, where he also serves as chairman of the Public Lands and Environmental Regulation Subcommittee. Please welcome to the stage NACo's friend on continued support for PILT funding, Congressman Rob Bishop.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity of being here with you. I appreciate that kind introduction. That was very nice of you. Not true, but it was really nice of you to say those things. I realize that I'm representing Congress, and many of you think that Congress is a very dysfunctional organization. Let me dispute you that idea for 1 second. I spent 16 years in the state legislature, so I do know there is a better way of doing legislative business than what we do in Congress. I also spent 28 years as a public school teacher, teaching a lot of history at the same time. So historically, I also realize there were other times when Congress was as dysfunctional as we are today. I mean, let's face it, when Davy Crockett was a member of Congress, he and one of his fellow congressmen went to the circus which had come to Washington. And when the Chimpanzee Act came out, Crockett looked at him and turned to his fellow congressman and said, "You know, that monkey looks just like our chairman." And his friend said, "Crockett, knock it off. I mean, our chairman is sitting down there. He can hear you. You should apologize." And Crockett simply said, "To which one, him or the monkey?" So there are different times when those instances have been there. However, you have to realize that now there are a whole lot of new members that have been here in Congress. We are going to look at things differently than has been done. You will see more debate taking place in Congress, more votes. Actually, I think you'll see more bills being signed into law than has happened in the past. But what we are looking for is new kinds of solutions to go forward. And as far as I'm concerned, the status quo does not cut it. We definitely have to do things new. That is why I want my committee's reputation to be one of thinking differently about the issues that face us so that we can come up with different approaches to it. That to me is extremely significant. It's important. I'm not crazy about certain administrations around here that I don't think have come up with creative solutions. And if they're not going to, my committee is going to present those, and we're going to be working very hard to see that actually happen, especially when it comes to issues that involve federal lands. Those of you that have counties with a great many federal lands in them, those are supposed to be opportunities for you. Unfortunately, as time has gone on, sometimes those become albatrosses or millstones around your neck, a liability rather than an opportunity. We're going to work on that and see if we can change that. So payment in lieu of taxes is extremely important to me. Secure rural schools is important to me. SRS will be funded on a one-year basis, and very quickly we will push something through the House on that and try and get that funding source going. But that's just a one-year basis. There also has to be a reform of secure rural schools, which was supposed to go away a long time ago, to make sure that that becomes self-supporting. The same way with PILT. There has to be some reforms we're asking for. It is time that you don't have to feel that you have to grovel to Congress for those monies coming through. There should be something very positive that you can maintain with that. There should be some kind of productivity and production that can come from the wise use of land where you have a say in how that will actually be developed. And there should be a revenue source that will actually be guaranteeing those programs so that you don't always have to come feel like you're groveling before us to get those funds coming through. That's also where the Land and Water Conservation Fund can come in. That has to be reauthorized this particular year. And once again, this administration said, let's take the Land and Water Conservation Fund and use it to buy more Civil War battlefields. I'm sorry, to all deference to the Los Angeles Dodgers when I was growing up and they had Maury Wills there, small ball does not cut it here. This is a source of revenue that can solve all sorts of problems if we just think creatively on how we can do it. There's all sorts of recreation opportunities as long as they are controlled by state and local government. There's all sorts of revenue sharing that can take place with this. I am dealing with Native American issues based on laws that are over 100 years old, and we have significant problems in healthcare and education there that need some sort of evidence, some sort of effort to try and help those issues. There is land in holdings that can take place, and PILT can be funded. if we recognize that this is a program that can give us a great opportunity if we're just willing to think differently about it and come up with a new and unique approach to it. And all those things I'm going to be pushing for. The United States has taken the leadership in energy production. We have surpassed Russia and the Saudi Arabia in energy production, but all that has come on state and private lands. If this country actually is going to go forward and become a world leader in the area of energy and use affordable energy to push full employment and actually have jobs in this country, you've got to develop the energy that is on federal lands and offshore as well, and that's where my committee's jurisdiction comes in. But if we are going to be a source of support for our allies and no longer being bullied by OPEC, it has to happen internally, it has to happen for us. That is one of those areas we are going to look at. What we do on federal lands has an impact through this entire economy. It has an impact for the entire country. It has an impact for what kind of foreign policy we can have. What we do with the Antiquities Act is going to be different, and it's going to affect all of you eventually. The Antiquities Act, to me, is still the most misused act that we have on the books. It's a legislative function. I'm sorry, I'm on a timer here. I'm trying to get done in 10 minutes for you, so I don't have time for you to like what I'm saying. Let's go forward here. The Antiquities Act was called Antiquities Act for a reason. It was about antiquities. There is specific criteria, which under the last 4 administrations, they have refused to take into consideration that should have been the precursor before you could use the Antiquities Act. There is actually an Antiquities Act that not only is dealing with federal lands, all of a sudden the last few have been out there dealing with state and local government lands as well as private property. And they are not looking at it wisely. And the reason it has to be some kind of reform is because if you don't like what the executive branch does with an Antiquities Act designation, there is nothing you can do about it. It's the same way as having policy being written by judges. There's nothing, if any of you are judges, I apologize, but judges don't know anything about land policy. And as you, as government officials or private citizens, want to complain about a judge's decision, there is nothing you can do about it. If you want to complain about the executive branch or agency's decision, there is nothing you can do about it. That's why those functions should be in the legislative branch, because it allows people who can actually contact an elected official to get their voice heard. If we turn over our decision-making policy to the agencies or to the judicial branches, people are shut out of the process, and that, if flat out, is wrong, and it's something I'm going to do about. So far, the Antiquities Act has hit us in the West, but those of you here are from the Midwest and the East, you're going to see it again. You're going to see it as well. You have the same vested interest as we do in this type of situation. Like some people have said, I'm opposed to wilderness. I'm not. I'm in favor of wilderness and conservation as long as it is balanced in some way. And what I want to do in the future is make sure, I'm willing to do that as long as you will also guarantee economic activity and you will guarantee recreation opportunities. Not just allow, because that can be taken away. I am serious about guaranteeing the ability of people to use public lands and federal lands. As long as you have that kind of balance, I think we can work together. And we can make sure there are areas to be conserved, but also has to give areas for some kind of guarantees so that local government, and here's where counties come in, local governments have some kind of surety. They know where there's cloture there. You know how to plan for zoning and future ordinances, and you know the federal government will not come in and change the rules in mid-process. That kind of guarantee is going to be essential, and if we move forward on these types of issues, to me, those become significant to it. Now, I got a minute and a half left here, for which I know you are grateful. Let me just say this as well. I am very much appreciative of what you do. Like, I'm a congressman, you don't know what I do, and there's no way you can get hold of me. It's a wonderful job. You, unfortunately, especially if you're from a smaller county, everyone knows your phone number. So you can see, sorry, I didn't do that. You can see the results of your activities faster. You also get feedback faster, which sometimes is not necessarily a positive experience. And because of that, I think you have the toughest job in politics, And that's why I am so proud of what you do. Local government deals with people. They deal with problems, and they deal with them effectively and efficiently because you have the opportunity to do so. So I'm extremely proud of what you do. I am looking forward to working with your leaders and with all of you in the future as we come about with decisions on how we deal with the federal estate, which, let's face it, the federal government owns 1/3 of all the land in America. It wasn't supposed to be that way. That's the way it is. There has to be some kind of organization to do with that. I'm looking forward with working with you because you actually have your thumb on the heartbeat of what people are thinking in your local communities, and you work so hard, and I'm very proud of that, and I thank you because I just ran out of time. Thank you for allowing me to be here.